Alright, at the top right position as the purple Terran, we do have our play.
And at the bottom right, we do have Cryoc, the green Terran.
Alright, TvT on Tau Cross. How do you feel about this map, Kix?
Tau Cross is fun, and in TvT there's a lot of really cool places you can put siege lines, so this could go really late game. It is a 3-player map, so I would say, I mean I play a lot of TvT, but I think the most fun TvTs always happen on 3-player maps, because obviously fighting over the other main and the other natural becomes such a major point when you're trying to split the map. And this map kind of has a weird split as well. It's usually going to split diagonally with these positions, but it means one player will often get an extra mineral only, and the other person will get the extra gas base just on the way the map's laid out. So it's all going to come down to how well they use the siege tanks, I think.
Well, see, that's what I was going to say is, because you can't draw like a completely symmetric distribution of bases on 3-player maps, doesn't that mean there might be like a positional advantage? So for example, like if you do a diagonal line directly between the bases right now, like wouldn't our play have easier access by ground to the left side main from his spawn location? From his line, rather?
You would say that, because when you look at the map, there is actually, like, there's a diagonal split by default. It's really hard to see in the Fog of War, but the way the bridges are mapped out, it does somewhat give a little bit of an advantage to Cryoc in the beginning if you want to split that way, but then our play also has less ground to cover to actually gain the top left bases. There's a smaller choke to actually try and defend, so it leads to some really weird situations. I mean, one thing that's quite popular on this map is actually just going 2-port Wraith early on, because having that air advantage really helps and it stops you dying to any tank on the cliff shenanigans over your natural.
Fair enough. That is indeed... Oh, that was the other thing I was actually interested by. So, like, normally when I think of interesting TvT tank lines, it's on maps with a lot of random high ground bits, like, I don't know, Sniper Ridge or something. But since this is all flat ground, you don't have quite as much, you don't have those kind of, like, nice areas where you really want to hold those locations. It's all fairly even ground, right? It's just the clippable and natural that's an issue, but that doesn't really matter that much, I feel, mid to late game. TvT. I don't know if it ever really matters.
On this map, it's mainly the bridges. The bridges are so small, and I mean, you can even see the weird pathing when you look at the textures on the middle bridge. Like, you can see like weird little texture bits where it's sort of all... Yeah, the pathing on that, trying to get an army across that against siege tanks at the other end is near impossible, so dropships almost become a necessity on this map. And the thing is, it's really hard to defend against dropships on this map as well, because the mains are so big. Like, there's so many ways. Now, this is the other weird positional thing that comes into it, because our play has somewhat harder access to the top left base, but his main is a lot easier to defend against drops. Whereas if you look at Cryoc's main, there's so much droppable area around the outside, and it's so hard to cover all of that. So yeah, it's going to be really weird.
Interestingly, our play killed Cryoc's scouting SCV. Cryoc ignored the scouting SCV in his base to attack with 2 Marines. He is going Rambo style. Look at these 2 Marines just running into the base. The 1 Marine from our play is moving back a little bit. An SCV actually blocking the Vulture in with a supply depot, because he is actually maybe getting his siege tank first. He didn't get a Vulture, he just waited for the machine shop, and the Marines are actually hiding. They're waiting for the Vulture to get here, it seems.
Yeah, weirdly enough, if it had just gone in, he would have done so much damage, because Gargoyle only got 1 Marine. But they are both going for 2-fact, and one of them is getting an upgrade. I imagine that will probably be for mines or speed from our play. But Cryoc is, for Cryoc, our play is actually just going for 2-fact tank, I think. So this is kind of strange how this is going to play out. Obviously, it's only going to take 1 or 2 tanks to actually completely block the Vultures in, but with mines, they could just break through.
And the floating barracks of Cryoc is going to see the tank coming out, and the barracks of our play is going to see the Vultures, and here we go. Vulture against tank. Do they have their mines yet? They do not. They're actually trying to run around the siege tank here. They're just going to try and avoid it entirely. We're going straight past, only taking 2 tank shots. There is the depot block, but the Marines are actually there. The random 2 Marines. It looks like they actually killed the other Marine that was already there. He's going to go try and take down the depot. Can he take down the depot in time? The depot's going to fall. Looks like one of the Marines falls to a siege tank. Spider mines are finished. He's going to start mining up these tanks, but it looks like the depot might have barely saved his life.
Yeah, that depot was so clutch. If he hadn't got that depot then at that point, he was dead 100%, I think. It would have been so hard to come back from that, but we do finally see some mines outside of the factory. And, well, looks like we got a weird bit of lag. One of the tanks is actually really low on health, so he needs to be careful. Oh my god, he loses the tank to mines. He tried to be a bit too clever. And yeah, as someone pointed out in the or Shamtu, I think, said, I think Terran is going to win this one. Now, I'm not entirely sure, but I think a Protoss may come out of nowhere, actually hiding in the 3rd base and then wins. But yeah, we do see the tanks are going to finally stabilize. Looks like, I don't even know if he's got siege mode, but he's going to have so much trouble pushing out here.
Yeah, has to be so careful. He did repair up those damaged tanks though, so they will at least survive a single mine hit. But you can see him just creeping forward. He wants to only trigger one mine at a time. Oh god! Okay.
Yeah, he was really lucky there. Cryoc is doing a really good job of not mining all in the same location. He's actually spreading out his mines quite well. He needs to actually create like a line of mines going from his base to our place, and that makes it basically impossible for the tank player to do anything. And losing another tank to a mine is not a good position to be in. Cryoc does have his natural command center almost finished, and our play is not actually expanding, actually going straight into Goliaths.
Very interesting. I mean, that's going to give Cryoc a super boost here, and with those mines, he should be able to delay long enough that he's not going to be in too much danger. One scan goes down, but remember, he's operating off a single comsat, so we're gonna have to wait a really long time if he wants another scan and actually move across the map safely. Oh my god, I'm so scared every time they move. I keep forgetting that these are tanks and not dragoons, so they actually don't bug out on their shots, but still, that is so scary.
It is, especially if you come across like 3 mines, then suddenly all of your tanks are dead. Now, the problem Cryoc's going to have is he's used most of his mines now on the vultures that have survived. He did get speed before siege, I believe, and his tanks are super late. And look at this, there's no mines left, so these tanks, they're going to have siege and they're going to be able to go straight up to Cryoc's expansion, and there's nothing he can do about it, really. And he's actually walled off, Outplay's walled off his base as well. Oh, but this is going to be so annoying. Siege tanks in this little gap here can shoot the choke here as well. Does he have siege finished? No, it looks like he forgot siege, or at least he delayed it long enough. So, I mean, he could have outright won the game here if he had siege.
Oh my god, the fail fish, our play. Oh no, there we go, it finishes now. It finishes now. It looks like Cryoc actually realized what's happening here. I don't know if he heard the siege noise, even if he didn't have vision. I think that's actually possible. You can hear things from the fog of war. So he moves his tanks down. He knows this is the danger. I mean, he did technically, he saw them with the vulture earlier on, so he knew that that would be the position Outplay would be going for. And he's building an engineering bay near this area, so he will be able to lift it off to give himself vision here. Obviously, he doesn't actually have vision of these tanks just yet. His barracks is also coming back down, but you know, his command center at least is gonna be fine. He's gonna keep mining away from the 2 gas. So once he's able to clear this out, he should still be in a good position. You can see he's got a pretty nice supply lead. Oh, hello.
Yeah, the good thing for him is he's actually hidden the starport in the bottom right of his main. The main tell of the fact that siege tanks were sieging there was purely because the barracks was floating over his choke, but he is going for wraiths. And the wraiths are going to do such a good job against a player who has no engineering bay and has no anti-air whatsoever. This one wraith is actually going to be able to kill every single tank. Even though he went for the early armory, he does have 3... He actually has 3 Goliaths, but they're all the way back at his main base at the moment, now trying to move over, and these tanks are completely vulnerable now.
But thankfully for him, it takes 1,000,000 years for just a single Wraith to kill a siege tank, so these Goliaths should be down here before the Wraith even kills a single tank. It looks like Cryoc actually changing his mind. He's using his Wraith to attack the barracks in order to remove vision here. Even though it looks silly, he's actually forcing Outplay to use scans, and it looks like he is actually going to clean this up. Boom! Only 1 tank remaining, although here come reinforcements.
Keeping that Wraith alive is really important. You don't really want to be losing Wraiths in this situation. He is only on 2 gas, so it looks like he's going around his academy to get his scans up. Now, one thing he has fallen behind on is he is behind on factories, and that could come into play a little bit later, but Outplay is just so far behind. He's only now just got his natural, and he's going to have a really uphill struggle, especially losing those tanks as well. Looks like he's going to try and break his way in. I don't think he has enough to do this, though.
Wow, those Goliaths actually just super man-moding it into the natural, but he Cryoc does clear out the tanks in the back. He's going to pick off these scouting barracks, and Outplay getting really, really aggressive there all of a sudden, just thinking he can go in and potentially win the game. He even got a few shots off on the command center, but throws away his not only his army, but his position. Getting those positions in a TvT is not that easy, and you know, trying to remove a Terran from a position where they got siege tanks is pretty difficult, so throwing that away like that is definitely a questionable move. But look at this, a secret base at the left side main, Kicks.
Yeah, now the funny thing is, if Cryoc had scan, or at least if he scouted with his race, he's killed about 6 or 7 tanks at this point. He could actually just A-move to victory. There's only 3 tanks on the map in its entirety for Outplay right now. And I'm not sure Cryoc realizes just how far ahead he is.
Well, he's moving out exactly as you say that, Kicks. He's going in, but there's going to be a drop, an elevator drop potentially in the back of his main, or maybe the siege tanks will siege from the outside. We shall see here. He's actually not dropping though. He's actually giving Cryoc precious seconds to actually react against this. There is the siege tank. There is the dropship going back for the elevator, but Cryoc already sending units back to defend this. I don't see this really working out.
Yeah, I think, like, if Outplay had kept all his tanks alive from before, I think he could have done a really good job with this. I mean, he was a little bit aggressive with his tanks. It is a really good tactic, but you really do need to defend the tanks with something and at least pull back when you're going to lose anything. Looks like the defending units have actually been cleared out by Outplay somehow. So Cryoc is taking a lot more damage here than E2. Oh my god, can he get this dropship? Is the dropship going to get away? No, it doesn't. That's actually a really nice pickoff.
Man, also stopping the barracks from finishing, so Cryoc can't make any more factories. And you can see Cryoc actually siege slightly too far away, didn't have vision. He's actually going to send a few SCVs in now and just walk in with his 4 siege tanks, but Cryoc actually did a pretty poor job of defending that one. He did a really nice job earlier, but just sieging slightly out of range and actually letting the tanks kill a lot more SCVs than they needed to. Meanwhile, Outplay is being so greedy with these expansions, expanding yet again. He's going up to 4 base against Cryoc 2, really trying to come back from that economy deficit. Now the left side base, even though he's not going to transfer workers there, he will get the gas from it, and gas of course is kind of the critical resource in TvT, so that's perfectly fine there to just invest in that base for purely for the gas.
Yeah, now Cryoc actually lost his race, I think, at some point, and now look at this. Outplay is actually going to siege a tank and deny this second gas from Cryoc. I think Cryoc has just left it too long. He's actually letting Outplay back in the game.
Oh,
he's
man.
Get a dropship over there, but there is 2 Goliaths.
There are indeed. It looks like they're actually just going to focus down the dropship. Meanwhile, another drop in the back of the main. 1 siege tank and 1 Goliath, it looks like. And the drop on the cliff is actually still there. No, it looks like Outplay is going to pick up and fall back. The SCVs, it seems, actually managed to kill the siege tank that was in the back, but there's still 1 Goliath firing away from the back lines. And by the way, this is exactly the same style that Gargoyle used in Gambit Cup yesterday, I believe, where he was just dropping like crazy all over the place. It's such an exciting style to watch.
It is, and I mean, Cryoc has just walked straight into it as well. Look at where his tanks are. His tanks are outside of his natural. They're not actually achieving anything. He's not taking any positions on the map. He's not pressuring Gargoyle in any sense of the word. And I mean, he's just being super defensive, and he's just let Outplay straight back into the game.
Yeah, this is really cool stuff. And the quad dropship, Kicks! The semi-doom drop coming into the back of the main. This is exactly what you were talking about in the beginning of the main. In these small locations on Town Cross, it is so easy for Outplay to drop into Cryoc's main. It is so annoying for Cryoc to do anything. It looks like he's sending a few vultures over to the 3 o'clock base. He's bringing some tanks back, but he could lose a lot of his SCVs here. SCVs just sacrificing themselves to tank for the tanks. The supplies are so close right now, whereas Cryoc was like at least 20 supply ahead at certain points in this game. Another dropship is going to fall. Now the thing is, Outplay is losing units every time he drops, but thanks to that hidden expo on the left side, he actually has a superior economy right now.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, even though Outplay got his armory a long time ago, he's actually behind in upgrades. Cryoc does have 1-0. He will need to repair this armory, though it's burning down. Does he realize?
Uh-oh.
He's repairing the tanks, but is he going to repair the armory? Well, it looks like Gargoyle was actually going to go for another triple drop, but seeing that there's actually no units defending, he's scanning absolutely everywhere right now, just trying to find an opening to go for. And look, he just dropped straight on top of these tanks.
Mines? Ooh, nice mine hit there. Kills something like a tank alive and something else. I'm not really sure. Looks like picking up though and potentially going to drop on the clippable gnat or potentially just behind this third base of Cryoc here just in the corner. Where is he going to go? No, he's changing direction. He's going onto the cliff here, but how many units are actually left? I don't actually know because he lost like half of them to the spider mine, so he's piecing out right here. Just going to hide in the corner for the time being. In the meantime, it looks like those vultures that were at the 3 o'clock did get cleaned up in our play now in the supply lead, still pumping out those dropships from the 1 starport, still mining away happily at that left side. And Cryoc, like if Cryoc doesn't know about the left side, which I'm pretty sure he doesn't, he must think that he's still, you know, pretty even in this game, that he's still fine. He's repairing that armory, by the way, but he's actually just falling further and further behind.
Yeah, one thing to note is when you look at Cryoc's map vision, considering he had the vulture advantage early on, and he had so many mines, he can barely see anything. He's not been scanning as much as Gargoyle either. He's actually at 200 energy on one of his scanners and over 100 on the other. He's not making good use of map vision here whatsoever, and this is what's allowing Outplay just to be cheeky like this and just hide bases.
Oh man, Cryoc though does do a great job stopping that that triple drop that was hiding in the bottom corner. He might even grab the last dropship. He does. 2 random turrets right behind the third base, actually allow him to pick off the last 2 dropships that were escaping. He is taking the mineral only on the left side, but again, mineral only is not nearly as valuable in TvT as gas bases. But our play now moving down to the back of the main base. He's actually just gonna start sieging down the back here. God, that is so annoying for Cryoc to deal with. Just look at this, using the glass. He actually built 2 barracks. He's got 2 floating barracks for vision. He's actually gonna lose one of them right here. I don't know if that was a mistake or on purpose just for the vision. I guess it should have been an eBay if it was on purpose, but look at this. And he's gonna lose the armory.
I don't think the tanks are actually in range of the armory, so he should be fine. They may be able to hit it with a scan, but Outplay isn't going to have enough scans to deal with it. The weirdest thing is the fact that doing this doesn't actually achieve anything for Outplay. There's nothing over here that Cryoc really needs to save. Of course, this does allow him to elevate her into the main though, and this is the problem.
Oh man, here we go. Tanks and vultures unloading into the main base, providing vision from the back for the back tanks to actually shoot down the army. There's 3 SCVs trying to bear this, but the armory actually falls, stopping the upgrade that was in there. I must assume that was +2 attack spinning in that armory. The critical upgrade again for TvT, allowing your tanks to 2-shot your opponent's tanks instead of 3 shots. I'm so important, and it's gonna get denied. Let me just see, there's no other armory that I can see for Cryoc, so that was definitely that upgrade, and Outplay gonna hold this position and use it to just launch drops into the back of the main base.
Yeah, the weirdest thing for Cryoc is Cryoc hasn't been active enough with his army. I know someone said he was gonna turtle up and win, but he's been turtled and he's not really been defending despite being turtled, which is kind of strange to me, but his tanks are in such weird positions. Like, he has a lot of tanks just above his main base, but they aren't actually covering the bridge, which allowed Outplay to get this position outside of his main base anyway, and Outplay taking another gas base. Cryoc has finally found the 3rd gas, but the 2 vultures aren't going to be able to do anything.
Yep. Sees it far too late. He's got siege tanks in the back of his base. He's gonna lose some tech buildings. He's gonna lose his depots here, in fact. Gonna lose part of his depot farm. Gonna send a few more tanks back to deal with it. But as you said, look at these, what is that, 7 siege tanks just completely useless above the main base. 4 more dropships coming in here, and I think Cryoc is gonna have to tap out very soon. He's gonna do the unload directly on top of Cryoc siege tanks here, picking everything apart in the main base. 1 vulture actually does deny the 12 o'clock base from completing, but Cryoc has just lost control of his main. He's lost control of the factories, crucially, so now any reinforcements will just get picked off.
Yeah, I mean, the important thing is he's still technically, even though he's lost most of the buildings in his main, he hasn't lost all of his depots, so he still has his factories, and he does have his own dropships finally, so he is going to be able to drop on top of that drop. And it looks like finally he's going to clear out the main. But, I mean, going back to the very beginning of the game, we said about the map splitting. And look at the map split set up by Cryoc. It's not beneficial to him whatsoever. He has this mineral only, but he sort of trapped himself on 4 base. He needs to try and take out this other main, but by the time he gets it, there's already been about 1,000 minerals mined from each of the patches, and I can only imagine the gas is about half full. But here we go, another Doom Drop is going into the main of Cryoc.
Oh man, Cryoc was moving forward here. Cryoc has 4 dropships of his own. He can actually drop on top of our play's units. No, he just drops in place here, and here we go, drop against drop, the awkward who will be able to fire first here. It's like the Wild West. Who actually pulls the gun out and can fire first? And it looks like our play is kind of going to make it happen. It looks like our play might actually pick off this command center. He does pick off the main command center, although that was pretty much mined out anyway. But look at this. The entire back of Cryoc's base is just not here anymore. 70 supply advantage for Gargoyle. And now look at this. He's moving into the middle only with vultures, and there's nothing to defend these SCVs, Kicks.
Yeah, I mean, with the drop on drop, Cryoc actually got the better of that engagement because he target fired his tanks a bit better. But here we go, he's going to lose most of his SCVs, and these vultures are going to go straight down and GG.
Woo!
Cryoc most certainly played far too passive in that game.
Yep, but man, I love Gargoyle's Terran versus everything style. It just drops everywhere. It is just so fun to watch. Just drops. I mean, that's the way I like to play TvT as well. Even though I suck at it, just dropping everywhere is so cool. We're going into game number 2, guys. Cryoc versus our play. And spawning at the top left location as the Brown Terran down 0-1 in this series, it is Cryoc.
And in the top right, we do have the leader of the series coming back there in quite an exceptional fashion. It is the Orange Terran. Outplay.
Now, Outplay has actually been doing pretty well recently in various events. Like, I know he got... Didn't he make the finals of the Rust Brain event and some various other semifinals or finals as well?
Yeah, he's made the finals in Clash for Char as well. He made the semifinals last week. So yep, he's been doing pretty well.
Seems pretty good. And are we going to see another longish game here? There's actually, are there? I think there's more resources on Circuit Breaker, right? In general, so you know we could see an even longer game than last time.
Yeah, the thing is as well, these positions actually favor split map a lot better. Eventually the bases that they'll be fighting over, depending on how well either player does. If it does go for a perfect split, the 6 and 12 will be the bases left fighting for, and it's fairly simple to like cut through the middle. But obviously if you be a little bit more aggressive early on, you can just cut the player off and just trap them on their 3 bases, and that is when it becomes very hard to come back in TvT.
Yeah, yeah. Unless you're our play, you just ignore all the tank lines and dropships. The best thing ever.
Yeah, and these positions actually favor him with dropships as well. I mean, Cryoc can build lots of turrets, but he is actually going to be once again... I mean, they can both do this, but Outplay will be able to drop on the biggest part of Cryoc's main at the back. Yep. So if Cryoc doesn't defend well enough, like he didn't last game, I mean, it was a little bit easier on Telcross to do that, but he will need to make sure that he's defending against drops this time.
Sounds good to me, and I guess we'll see. So last game also the openings were slightly different, right? And our play kind of looked like he was almost going to die and held it with the clutch depot block. Now you can't do that on Circuit Breaker, of course. It's just a regular ramp. You can't just block it with one depot. But that also means like it should just be generally easier to hold those kind of ultra things, right?
It should be, especially if you go tanks. You can just stick one tank on the ramp and the vultures can't get up. But it does leave you open to like weird mine busts at your ramp and things like that. And okay. Outplay has just built a depot in a really weird place. This is like, as someone who keeps messing up his building placement, this is really triggering me.
Hold that thought, Kicks. There's an SCV versus Marine duel, and it looks like the SCV loses its nerve and runs away with 1 Marine shot remaining. It will, in fact, survive here. And I see what you mean about this depot, Kicks. That's indeed a very peculiar depot position. That's where the barracks was originally built before it lifted off. Interestingly, it seems he didn't build a single marine here.
Yeah, I think given the fact that he scouted first and saw that Cryoc did only have one marine, you can kind of skip the marine if you get an early enough factory. Now both of them are going to be going for at least a factory expand. As Outplay pulled off gas, yeah, Outplay's pulled off his gas, so he'll be going for his factory off of vultures, I guess. And it looks like Cryoc is going to do exactly the same thing, so somewhat mirror builds, but of course Cryoc's CC will be a little bit further behind given the fact he did actually go up to 3 marines.
Is that SCV at the top for a proxy, or is he just going to go scout? I guess he's going to go scout with that, right?
I would imagine he's going to scout. If you're going to proxy, you'd want to keep the guys in gas still.
Yeah.
I mean, you could build a starport, but given the fact you're close by air anyway, realistically, it doesn't really give you too much benefit in TvT.
Seems good. Actually, we saw that in Terra versus Shiny, right?
Shiny, yep.
Yeah, where it didn't help them at all. But anyway, barracks from our play gonna float over here, gonna get harassed by these 3 marines. And it looks like 2 factory vulture coming out from our play, whereas the machine shop first from Cryoc. It's almost the reverse of last game here, although with slightly faster expansions from both players this time. And the barracks, though, will get taken out relatively quickly, in fact.
You know, to me, this is kind of odd because I think Cryoc is actually building his 2nd and 3rd factories a bit late. I'm not sure if he is going into vultures again. But with Vulture, you really want to get that Vulture advantage early on, and look at this, two Vultures against the 1 Vulture from Cryoc, as he did go for that machine shot. The Marines will actually win him that fight though. That was very lucky that he had those 3 Marines in the right place.
And interestingly, that stops the barracks from being killed, although it's already on fire, so it will just burn down here. But here we go, 2 Vultures coming in against 1, but the tank is coming out, but it doesn't focus fire correctly. No, it does get a 1-for-1 exchange in the vultures. Now what else is coming out from our place? Still no additional factories. His barracks is about to burn down, so he won't be able to make anymore. If he wants to make some, he should probably make them now, or else he's going to be on 2 factories for quite a while longer. Meanwhile, 2nd and 3rd factory on the way for Cryoc, stabilizing. He's actually he's moving with just a single tank. He's going to attack with 1 tank, Kicks.
Yeah, weirdly, this could actually work. He's going to be against 2 vultures. It doesn't look like mines are finished yet. I don't even know if he's going mines. He could actually be going siege, because he actually has swapped into siege mode himself. But has Cryoc got siege mode? I don't think he has. Maybe he's just going to donate this tank for free. Wants to give it to charity.
Oh man, the tank donation, Cryoc, unlucky. I don't know what he was thinking he would do with just 1 siege tank. The 2nd tank coming in now, but the first one is picked off, and now the 2nd one's gonna get picked off. No, there are vultures to support. They do focus down the spider mines. Look at this, he's targeting down the mines, but that means that the other tank is getting so many shots off, and he gets the 2nd tank as well. And this tank can probably just take down both of these vultures. There is an SCV coming in, but 1 vulture falling, and Cryoc really messing up on the early game skirmish. Random barracks landed from Cryoc to just slow things down from our play, but our play in a great position, and now he's also building wraiths, and there is no anti-air for Cryoc.
Yeah, the weirdest thing is with that barracks is that actually somewhat helped, because I think Outplay had A-moved his tanks out of his rally point, and what happened was the tank and the vulture were actually attacking the barracks for a while.
Yeah.
So it's a really weird thing you can do with TvT. Another one is if they build their factories in the wrong place, you can actually wall all their units in, which is kind of funny. I've had that happen to me a couple of times, and that made me seriously rethink my building position. But Outplay, once again, I mean, he had a shaky start last game, but he's taken a commanding position in this game already, in this 2nd game.
Yes, indeed he has, and now he's moving out. He's got to be careful. There's 1 spider mine here, but it looks like he's able to move out now. And what do we got going on over here? Looks like Vulture's trying to stop our play in the middle of the map, but not able to do so. And he could be in big trouble right now. 3 tanks rolling into the napole. He's actually running around the top side though. There is a 2nd path to our play's base. These 3 speed vultures could do a lot here.
Now, the funny thing is, Outplay can actually just take this position on the high ground, and then he's pretty much guaranteed himself to win. It looks like he's actually going to be a little bit more timid though. He's pulling his entire army back, to deal with the vultures, even though he already has units to defend. So this is a bit of an overreaction. And he's actually just going to give up a position on this ramp. I mean, he's still in the lead, but it could do what happened in the previous game, where once again, the player in the lead could give up his lead by just not taking the right positions. Although this may have actually worked out, there is a lot of vultures trying to run around, and they're going to get caught now by these defending units.
Oh man, I feel like that was a pretty big overreaction for our play. Maybe he just assumed there'd be a couple of tanks on the other side of the bridges, and he didn't want to just suicide all his units. I mean, the thing is, you know, Cryoc kind of put him in this position by suiciding the units, so maybe he's like, I shouldn't, you know, tempt fate and just do the same thing, and actually played it perhaps a little overcautiously, but I mean, it's at the end of the day, he's still in a pretty good position, and yeah, building a third command center now. Looks like gonna float it down to the 3 o'clock. This barracks does see it though, so Cryoc knows what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing we do see is we do see the first dropship coming out by Outplay. But look at this, where Outplay gave up that position on the high ground where the vultures are now, it actually just gives Cryoc the ability to leave his base, and this is the one way you can throw away a TvT if you're not careful. I mean, if he does go overboard with the drop style again, and Cryoc actually defends it, then he could be in a world of hurt, because the thing is, where he doesn't have a position on the map anymore, he just has his tanks sort of sitting randomly doing nothing. Cryoc's actually going to be able to take a third gas, and this is something that he could have stopped entirely.
Well, but Cryoc is just going for the minute only, right? He's not going for another gas base at the moment where our play is. So, you know, Cryoc really, I don't know. I mean, I guess if he's going to make a lot of vultures, it's not the end of the world. Meanwhile, some vultures from our play now laying some mines at the 9 o'clock, laying some mines at the natural. Are any of these mines going to trigger? It looks like no, they're not, but the vultures are going to get into the natural expansion. I'm a little bit surprised he didn't run into the main base. Going to just try and get as many SCV kills as he can here at the natural expansion, getting a decent number of the SCVs. Look at the supply difference now. Our play pulling more and more ahead. Almost a 20 supply difference there for a little bit, and 2 dropships are now ready. The command center is floating down, and what is Cryoc going to do? Cryoc now moving out with his main army. Is he going to go on the offensive? If he moves out and the dropships go back into the back of his main, that could be like the anti-timing.
Yeah, it looks like this time he is prepared for it though. He's building turrets, he's got some Goliath defending. And realistically, Outplay isn't the one who wants to be doing drops right now, but look at this. Cryoc actually taking a position in the middle of the map now. Just able to just run out for some reason. No mines or anything by Outplay to stop this really happening. And the barracks is going to go down once again. But here we go, a triple drop is going into just straight past that third command center. But no, he's actually going to drop on this high ground that he could have been controlling a little bit earlier. Kind of funny, but he does take the position at the end, like, a little bit later on.
It's actually so interesting. So tank lines are being drawn in the middle of the map, but at the same time, our play is also taking this position behind Cryoc's tank line. Like, the tank lines right now are... Cryoc's tank line isn't providing him anything. Our play's tank line is protecting the 3 o'clock base. And now Cryoc is unable to even mine from his mineral only. He's building yet another command center at his natural, but again, Cryoc's overall positioning just seems very, very dubious in these games.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to really know what to do with his army in TvT. Now, whether or not he used to be a race picker, I don't think he did. I just think maybe he has less experience in TvT than Outplay. But then again, Outplay is making his own fair share of positional mistakes as well. He's obviously playing a lot better in this game than Cryoc is. But, I mean, he could have won the game about 4 or 5 minutes ago.
Quite possibly. Oh, there's one Wraith though! The Hero Wraith is maybe gonna save Cryoc, but probably not. It's gonna pew-pew its way against these siege tanks, while our play continues to reinforce this middle position. There's actually no tanks for him to even siege against anymore.
We're gonna have Wraith versus Wraith, but I think Outplay's Wraith is actually gonna win. Cryoc isn't paying attention. And there we go, he does pull it back.
Indeed, he does. The command center floating down to the 9 o'clock, but is blocked by the good old spider mine. How does it feel, Terran? How does it feel? After all this time of doing it to Praetos, now you can feel our pain. Getting your town hall building blocked by a spider mine. Looks like they're gonna clear it out with a couple of Goliaths, but our play taking that bottom right main base as well. Kind of, I mean, it's not even really a hidden base. I mean, it's hidden in the sense that Cryoc won't know about it for a while unless he scans there, but at the same time, I mean, it's on our play side of the map. It's not like a really random location. He is kind of, sort of protecting it-ish. So yeah, seems good all around for our play. Let's see, are we gonna see another big drop? I actually lost track. Okay, no, the drop ships are in the middle.
Yeah, there was actually a really funny engagement just now as well, where the Wraith from Outplay actually came back in against Cryoc when they both had repaired. And then because Outplay was trying to do some really weird starter step micro to get closer to the Wraith, he actually traded with it. So even though he could have just won outright because he was shooting first, by trying to do this weird starter step, he lost his Wraith. And it looks like some Speed Vultures are actually going to go and cancel. Oh no, they don't get it in time, but they will kill the SUV that is going to be trying to build the gas.
But at the same time, 4 dropships heading into the back of the main. Here we go. Are they actually going for the main? It looks...
there's so many turrets this time.
I think he scanned. Oh, he must have scanned. He changed his direction. I think he scanned where it was. He's changing direction. He's trying to figure out where he wants to go. He's going to run straight through the Goliath, though. He's going to run straight into Goliath. He's going to lose 1 dropship without actually dropping anything. Whoops.
Yeah, that was a bit of a weird error, but the thing is, he'd used all his scans on the main and natural, so he wasn't really sure what's going on. Cryoc is doing a little bit of a better job scanning this game. I mean, overall, Outplay does have the map advantage and everything. He does have vision absolutely everywhere, knows exactly where the siege line of Cryoc is. But is Cryoc going to be able to do something? It looks like Outplay's still scanning around, trying to find a place to drop with his dropships, but these Goliaths are going to try and catch those last 3 dropships.
Not quite getting in position. The dropships are actually going to go to that 4th base. Interestingly, Cryoc made a 2nd starport, but he's blocking it from making a control tower. And he's actually going for wraiths from both starports, it seems. And here is the drop on the bottom left, on the high ground, going to deny this base. So Cryoc, once again, going to fall behind by 1 expansion. I don't think he'll lose the command center, although it might be a little bit close here. But the 5 Goliaths from Cryoc sent to deal with that, as you can see, completely useless here. In the meantime, 1 SCV at our place winner only, just killing some spider mines to get ready for the inevitable expansion. And I mean, we've got a 50 supply difference now between these players. Our play has much more of the map, and I think it's kind of a matter of time here. Now it's just going to be a bit of a waiting game, since it's difficult to kind of close things out in TvT. Although having a lot of dropships definitely helps.
Yeah, the other thing that's really going to help is... oh wait, there is actually a size. Now, this Wraith Switch could catch Gargoyle off guard, but he has been doing a good job of scanning. And also, Cryoc doesn't really have enough gas to make it fully work. But as I said a little bit earlier, there is like a very small little bit of buildable area in the middle. But these tank lines are going to be vulnerable. And this mass drop style, if the Wraiths catch the dropships at the wrong time, suddenly a 50 supply advantage can just disappear. It all comes down to how well everything's controlled. Weirdly, Cryoc is building way too many Goliaths, so he has an entire control group of Goliaths in the middle of the map, yet he's barely got any tanks. Yeah. It's kind of odd.
Oh, I guess he wanted to catch dropships, but he's again out of position. Look at this, 6 dropships heading back down to the bottom left. Also, I was wrong earlier. It's not race, it's actually going to be dropships. He repositioned that 1 starport that didn't have space for control tower. Is now making dropships out of 2 starports, rallying them to the top left of his main. Is this drop, though, going to go into the 9 o'clock base? That could be a huge drop here for our play with these 6 dropships. Again, the Goliaths of Cryoc is completely not in the correct position. And here we go, he's coming in now. He's going to intercept 1 of the dropships, but now he is going to lose his 9 o'clock base, and Cryoc is going to have very little mining after this.
Yeah, and he doesn't have enough tanks to defend either. He's just way too behind in tanks. The weird thing is he actually was going for raids because he started researching Cloak, but I think he cancelled it for some reason. Now, going raids could have saved him, but going dropships when you're already behind is not the best decision you can make. And it looks like this tactical play by Outplay to keep dropping absolutely everywhere is going to close out this game for him. Cryoc now loses his 3rd gas. He only has 1 tank to his name at that 3rd base, trying to take it back. These Goliaths are going to run in, but he's against... okay, so it's still 1-0. Cryoc's 2-0 actually finishes first, so he does manage to clear that up with the Goliaths.
Yeah, very interesting that Cryoc... I mean, at least he's got something going for him, right? He's got the upgrade advantage.
Cryoc's going to lose the command center at the 7 o'clock. He actually sent it back over to try and land it, hoping that Outplay would have moved his units, but the 2 Goliaths were still there.
It's really cool that our play just leaves a handful of units in these positions, because, you know, the Terran units are so good in these defensive positions. It takes way more for Cryoc to actually clear that out than it costs Ourplay to just leave his units there, especially since he's ahead. So just holding that position, knowing that Cryoc needs this as his lifeline is really smart. Meanwhile, Ourplay just taking the bottom right 2 bases. He's even adding 2 more starports, adding 2 more armies and a starport, presumably going to go for those air upgrades here. Is it just going to be Wraith? Is he potentially going to go battle cruisers?
He's going to need to move his science facility if he wants to build the physics lab, but he could do. Thing is, he's so far ahead at this point, he can actually do anything. Like, a little bit ago, he had so many tanks compared to Cryoc, he could just, like, move across the map. But now 2-0's finished, it's going to be a little bit harder to do. Looks like he's going to pick up for another massive drop again. He actually has 8 dropships now. Cryoc does have a few as well. And it looks like Cryoc's going to try and drop 2, but Ourplay's drop play has been pretty good so far. And he looks like he's going to try and take out that 9 o'clock base again.
Yeah, just keep hitting the expansions, cut off the resources, and I mean, Ourplay's max, so it's just going to be keep attacking, keep remaxing, and eventually finish the game. A few vultures running through the middle of the map, not really sure where they were going, possibly just clearing out supply, but look at the drops coming up from Cryoc though. It's going to be drop against drop. It's 7 drops against 8, I think, or is it 6 against 8? And it looks like, actually, Cryoc turns back. I guess he must have scanned the path and turns around, and he actually drops directly on the tanks that were holding this platform. But now Ourplay can actually drop back on him. And I think, generally, whoever drops second actually wins these. Is that right? Oh, wait a minute! He's not dropping!
Yeah, the funny thing is, ironically, even though he's had so many Goliaths, he actually had none in those dropships. He only had all his tanks with like 2 Goliaths. So once again, Ourplay's going to take this position, and Cryoc is slowly but surely dying. He had an insane bank at one point, just not spending his money very efficiently. But it looks like I think Cryoc is bleeding his last drops of blood in this game as he picks up the rest of his army to try and go for another drop.
Yeah, this is kind of just a slow grind, the war of attrition. I think most people realize that this game is over, and we're just waiting to see. I'm now gonna try and look for the physics lab. We need like a physics lab. We need a covert ops or something here, Kicks. Tell me what is the cool tech gonna be? I see that 12 o'clock actually is gonna be taken. We've got mass wraiths, not battle cruisers. Sadly, we actually have a drop at the bottom left. Is it gonna be enough? It's actually gonna be pretty close here. Cryoc might not even be able to clean this out. Oh man, he's even gonna suicide a tank into mines, and actually. And Ourplay holds, and Cryoc just insta-GG's. So Ourplay taking it down 2-0 against Cryoc, advancing, I believe, to the round of 8.